Hello and welcome to another Imperator Rome developer diary. So this time 17th of February. The date, it's the same as last week's date system. So on the subject of the update to the date system, there's some consistency there, which is great. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. No, I'm joking. Of course I'm joking. Let's get into the dev diary. Hello, this week we're taking a look at a unique set of missions for Syracuse, the dominant Greek power in Sicily known for its tyrants, resistance to siege, and of course, the mathematician Archimedes. The Magna Graecia content pack will include 4 mission trees for this city. I think he means state or country, which center on securing control of eastern Sicily, expelling the Carthaginians from the island, and dominating the Italiate colonies of southern Italy. A 4th tree will give you the chance to unseat the tyrant of Syracuse and re-establish a republic, but coups are not exactly certain affairs. Let's take a look at these trees one by one and cover the opportunities they present to this historic city. So first off, because I have seen some people confused about this, Magna Graecia content pack will include 4 mission trees for this city. Okay, say he does mean city, he's talking about the city of Syracuse, the people of Syracuse. If you are of the opinion that the Magna Graecia content pack is going to include 4 mission trees for Syracuse and nothing else, I think you might be a little bit mad. I think you might be insane, because that's straight up not going to be the case. I have absolutely no confirmation or insider knowledge on this, but I'm also not stupid, so I'm not going to say or agree with you that this is all there's going to be. And I have seen some people think this, and I think they're insane. But seriously? Whatever. There's going to be more, and this is not going to be all of it. I'm gonna put money on it. I could put money on it, right? There's gonna be more than just Syracuse. Like, come on. Really? You really think that? Come off it. Anyway, let's get into the goddamn mission tree, shall we? So, leadership of the Siciliates. Syracuse has been scrapping with the other Siciliate cities for centuries, and the latest tyrant, Agathocles, or I don't know how you pronounce it, I've always pronounced it Agathocles. By always, I mean since I learned that he existed. But then I was watching the ancient Hellenistic podcast. I'm not really sure what the name of it is. And they pronounce this Athagocles or something like that. So I don't know what the pronunciation is supposed to be. I'm just going to keep calling him Agathocles. He's almost succeeded in securing total control of the East. Starting as a humble potter, he rose to power with the financial backing of his wife's father, eventually crowning himself king of all Sicily in emulation of the Diadochi. Below we can see the tree edited into one image. So lovely, they've removed the bars and you can see the whole thing. If you had a big enough screen, I guess you wouldn't need to scroll, I guess. But anyway, we've got Soldier of Fortune, Siciliate Overtures, restoring Syracuse, Last of the Sicoloi, securing Sicilia, City Temples, Fountain of Arethusa. I imagine this is going to be some kind of religious kind of thing. Making yourself a holy site, maybe? Breadbasket of Italia, the Ortygian Redoubt, and the Horn of Plenty, and then finally, Hegemon of the Siciliates. Very nice. The tree focuses on dominating all of eastern Sicily and developing Syracuse itself after the strife, purges, and constant warfare suffered by the city. This is intended to be the first tree of a Syracuse playthrough and to put them in good stead to go toe-to-toe with the Carthaginians. Securing the rival city of Akragas, which is, I think, the best single city for making a huge population. I've seen upwards of 5,500 pops in Akragas. Mostly because it's got horses. It's a farmland and it's a port, so it's really well placed. I'm not sure if there's anyone that comes close to it, but anyway. It will allow you to reap the benefits of its many temples and their treasuries. There are opportunities for making eastern Sicily into an agricultural powerhouse through its famous grain, and the island of Ortiga's fortifications and holy site to the nymph Arethusa can be expanded. So yeah, a Fountain of Arethusa definitely seems like a religious thing. Holy Site Arethusa. So, soldiers of fortune and military mind. Recruitment has progressed well and contracts have been secured with many contingents of Lucanian and Brutian mercenaries. Interestingly, a grizzled mercenary veteran named Volessus has come forward offering his services to Syrakusae directly, claiming he can restructure the outdated phalanx in these fast-changing times. So, very, very cheap, and you get merc maintenance and merc cost reduction for, I guess it's 15 years. I probably wouldn't do this one. Mercs so early in the game is not something I generally tend to favor. Love to know what the other ones are, though. If the situation is dire, the famous Italic mercenaries have made a living off centuries of warfare on the island can be approached, granting a significant but temporary reduction in the cost of their services. So now we've got Punic rivalry. The Sicilian-Punic conflicts could easily be a game in their own right, spanning centuries of bitter struggles, always resulting in an uneasy stalemate. In recent history, the defeat of Dionysius I of Syracuse was close, but led to Carthaginian domination of the Hellenic cities of Salinius, Heraclea Minoa, and Therma. Avenging these defeats is the first step to reconquering western Sicily. After deposing Dionysius' son and restoring a republic, Timoleon only narrowly succeeded in defending the Hellenic Sicily from a huge Carthaginian invasion, purportedly defeating their army despite almost impossible odds and slaughtering their native contingent. Contingent, why did I fumble that? Creating a general Punic reluctance to send their own sons to battle instead mainly relying on mercenaries. So that's where that came from. Fair enough. Not long ago, Agathocles was repulsed after an initially successful invasion of Carthaginian Africa, and an uneasy peace has once again ceded western Sicily to Punic subjugation. So we have maritime revival, rally the Siciliates, preparing the ground, we've got naval advances, avenging Dionysius, Agathocles' dream, our abandoned brothers, refound Himera, probably creating a city, I imagine. Peace and equity, recover Sicania, that is the western part of Sicily, and then into the sea. Expanding the Syracusan navy, fortifying strategic locations, and igniting revolt in the subdued Hellenic cities will help turn the tide against the Punics once and for all. Rebuilding the leveled city of Himera would be a symbolic victory over the Carthaginians who slaughtered its entire Greek population over 100 years earlier. So our workmen have at last completed their work on the old site of Himera, reconstructing the necessary public buildings and homes for settlers. A great festival was held, rededicating the town to Nike and begging her to bless the city. You got some freemen, it's in Thermae. Does it rename it? Changes name to Himera, yes it does. Until the end of the game, primary culture, happiness, and freeman output. So this would be a great place to build lots of what are they called, forums and training grounds, and just really boost the amount of freemen you get there. That'd be quite nice. If enough of the island is reconquered, the Punics may be persuaded to at last cut their losses and cede the rest for a fair sum. Oh, that's very interesting. Fair enough. With the throne of Sicily secure, the natural avenue of expansion is southern Italy across Charybdis's Strait. The squabbling Italiate cities cry out for aid against their growing Italic neighbours, and Syracuse has many opportunities in the region. We've got approach the Italiotians. That is the first time I've ever heard that kind of word. Foothold in Italia. We've got Tarentine Gulf. Incite the Italiotians. Hellenic support. Maybe looking to Epirus for some help, perhaps. Encourage Pythagoreanism. Interesting. Okay. We've got the Tarentine Academy, Italiate cities, subjugate the Italics, and master of Magna Graecia. Lovely. This tree will be available after completing either of the above and provide alternative methods, bring the Italiate cities under your influence, as well as a few other boons as a reward for becoming the leading Greek power in Magna Graecia. Italiate feudatories seeking protection from the Italic tribes may be acquired diplomatically. The powerful Greeks to the east may support you as a bulwark of Hellenic civilization, and the benefits of the historic sites of Croton and Taras can be reaped in exchange for investment. Oh wow, Seleucid support. Now that is interesting. Our envoys have returned with the news that the Basilius Seleucus of the Seleucid Empire has agreed to aid the cause of the Western Greeks. They generously sent us the makings of a war elephant stable as a testament to the strength of the new Seleucid Syrakusan alliance. And you can get elephants in Syracuse. That is super interesting. Although you're not going to be getting super many of them because you need plus 20 slaves. Wow, that's quite a lot. Get an alliance with the Seleucids as well. Fucking hell, that's big. And is that only with the Seleucids, or I mean, it just says Greeks, the powerful Greek states of the east. So maybe the Egyptians can help with papyrus, perhaps. I don't know. But yeah, that's huge. Next, we'll take a look at a tree of an entirely different kind, Death to Tyrants. Sicily is known for its cruel tyrants, ambitious men who seized power of their cities and introduced delights such as the brazen bull of Phalaris. This tree will allow you to overthrow the illegitimate monarchy of Syracuse and restore the old republic, though you will need some help. I will say, this is going to be the first time you can switch from a monarchy to a republic. It doesn't exist in any other regard, so that's interesting for sure. It's got tentative whispers, friends in high places, strike the foundations, deal with the devil and Timoleon's example. We go to Damocles' lesson, 2 arms, and the Republic of Syracuse. Unless republics get kind of overhauled at some point, I think I probably stick with a monarchy. I do prefer it quite a bit. Monarchy is my favorite way to play the game. After selecting a suitable leader, Republican revolutionaries will be able to choose between starting a civil war or attempting a coup, both of which will result in a republic being established if successful. 2 arms will start a civil war, but help must be secured from another country, either a Greek republic attempting to recreate Timoleon's expedition, or a foreign power nearby such as Carthage, though they will want something in return. The day has finally arrived for the people of Syracuse to take back their city from another vainglorious tyrant. Vainglorious. I think vainglorious sounds cool. It's not a word, though. Vainglorious, it's okay, I guess. The Arcanian expedition was meticulously organized, with troops led by Alexarchus arriving in Tauromenion, upon which Gorgos formally declared Alarchus as interim leader of the Republic. All that remains is to defeat the tyrant's armies and retake our great city for the people of Syrakusae, Ares willing. Freedom or death. So, the mission task to arms has been complete, the revolution has begun. Republican forces taking control of Tauromenion. 5 cohorts have been mustered thanks to the skills and resources of our leader Gorgos. So maybe if you have more marshal, then you get more cohorts. The Iconian leader Alarchus leads with emergency powers and has brought 6 cohorts and some funds. That's very cool. Also, this is a new flag. Is that the flag of Republican Syracuse, perhaps? I don't know. That's, Oh, I think Syracuse has got a new flag in general. Alright, you get this flag. This is the Syracuse flag at the start of the game. And maybe if you start the Civil War, the other side becomes, obviously, your previous ruler, and he gets this flag. That is very interesting. Not seen that flag before. Lovely. Damocles' lesson will attempt a coup after securing the support of the tyrant's heir or their mercenaries, the latter of which will demand payment if successful. None of these potential plots are guaranteed to succeed. There are a number of ways for your best laid plans to go wrong, even after the tyrant has been removed. If you do manage to succeed, Syracuse will become a republic once more, restoring Timoleon's laws and undoing the wrongs of Agathocles. If not, this tree can be repeated, though you will have to wait 20 years between attempts. Very nice. So, before we get onto the holdings, I want to just talk a little bit about the mission tree, or I guess more like the DLC policy for Imperator. As I said earlier, I do not think that we're only going to get 4 mission trees. I do think, 4 mission trees for one country. I do think we're going to get more than that. If I just open up Imperator real quick, I'll show you exactly what I think is most likely. So obviously we've seen, we've got Syracuse is getting a mission tree, and yeah, I think it's quite fun. Looks like a fairly decent mission tree. I think what else we're getting is probably going to be an Epirus mission tree. And I know Epirus is not in Magna Graecia. However, a lot of what Pyrrhus did Like a whole part of his story involved going into Magna Graecia and fighting against the Romans. So I do think that there's going to be some kind of mission tree for Epirus about Magna Graecia coming in and fighting the Romans there. I don't think that's it, though. I don't think we're only going to get 2. I think we're going to get, other than these 2 more again. What I'd love to see, I don't know how likely it is, but what I'd love to see is 2 shared unique mission trees. So we have the generic tree, and what I'd like to see is a Greek city-state mission tree. That being for all these little Greek city-states, Croton and Hipponion, etc. All of these little city-states all getting their own mission tree that they share. And then again, one more is going to be settled tribe mission tree for the likes of Samnium, Apulia, Lucania, Brutia, which are settled tribes at the start of the game. I'd love to see a mission tree that these guys share as well, the Magna Graecian settled tribe missions. That's what I would like to see ideally from mission trees. So four countries, or I guess 4 groups of mission trees. And then, of course, we're probably going to get some music as well with the pack, and some models. And I think the unit models, considering Epirus already has some, I think it's going to probably be for Syracuse. I'd be fairly surprised if that wasn't the case. But yeah, just to talk about the DLC policy a little bit more. Imagine, if you will, a tightrope. What Imperator is doing right now is walking along the tightrope with its DLC policy. If they fall to the left of the tightrope, there's not enough content in the DLCs to make them worth buying. People won't buy them, they won't think the value is there in the DLCs, and that's not a good thing. On the other hand, if they fall to the right of the tightrope, there is too much in the DLCs. Things like mechanics, and different ways to play the game. And that's also a bad thing. That's the problem that EU4 and CK2 had. They locked mechanics behind a paywall, so as the game progresses further and further, you're going to end up in the situation that both of those games ran into, that if you buy the game, you're not really getting the full experience. And it's not just the full experiences in a flavor context, but you're not getting mechanics that are just kind of essential to play the game. Things like the macro builder was exclusive to Art of War. Up until recently, development was something that was exclusive to Common Sense. These kind of things really should be in the base game, and that's sort of what I think Imperator is going for. They want the mechanical changes to all be in the base game. So I don't think they're in danger of falling off the tightrope to the right, but they are in danger of falling off to the left and not putting enough into the DLCs. It's a very fine line to walk. Like I say, you don't want to put too much in, you don't want to make them too shallow. It's not a job that I would like to have, to decide what actually goes into these DLCs. I think what I suggested earlier, 4 distinct mission tree groups, some music and some models is probably enough for a DLC. But there are other ways as well. There was one that Darren from Republic of Play had suggested, and I'm not sure how much on board with this I am. But I'm going to pass it on to you, so you maybe can let me know how you feel about it in the comments. But DLCs that will change how countries function. So a little while ago we had a post by Archeo in the forums asking how you would change Rome's republic and government system to be more historical, and it would only apply to just Rome uniquely. And perhaps that could be a part of a DLC. Rome would get its new governmental system that you would play with, with your cursus honorum, your praetors going into, all of these different parts of the government that, you know, historically were a part of Rome's republican government. And you would only play with that if you had the DLC. And if you didn't have the DLC, you would play with, you know, the standard republican government. Same thing, something similar for Carthage's government. Carthage's government wasn't, you know, as it is in the game. Maybe some changes could happen there. Things with Sparta. Right now, Sparta has a monarchy. It's got, you know, standard. You marry your consort, and your consort gives her stats over. But Sparta actually had a diarchy. It wasn't a monarchy. There was 2 kings at all times. So maybe a DLC could add the diarchy to Sparta, and there'd be various mechanics surrounding that. And that would be the DLC. And if you didn't have the DLC, you'd play with standard monarchy Sparta. I don't know how I'd feel about that. I think those kind of things maybe should be a part of the game as a whole. But I can see the argument for it. But I'd love to know, like, what you guys think. Is that a good way of doing the DLCs? What do you think is the most reasonable DLC policy to pursue? Because I'm conflicted. I don't know. I think what they're doing now, not locking mechanics behind DLCs, is, for me, the better way of doing things. Certainly above EU4 and CK2. It's much more consumer friendly. The way that Darren suggested is also consumer friendly, certainly more than the other games again, but it's still locking mechanics behind DLCs, which is something that I don't think is really a consumer friendly move. So like I said, I'm conflicted. It's a tightrope, and it's a really, really thin fucking wire. But yeah, I'd love to know what your thoughts on a potential, you know, improvement to DLC policy situation is, and what would you find valuable in a DLC? Like, how much? Imagine the Punic Wars DLC, which gave us mission trees for Rome, mission trees for Carthage, fairly extensive mission trees, I will say, as well. And it also had some unit models for Carthage. It had 3 new songs. How much would you have paid for that? If that wasn't a free DLC, as I guess an apology for the state of the game when it released, if that wasn't a free DLC, how much would you have paid for it? Because, I don't know. Like I said, feels really shitty to say, but like I say, I haven't paid for, you know, Paradox games since 3rd Rome came out. I've been very fortunate to get them from Paradox themselves. So my kind of evaluation on the value of certain DLCs is probably off. I don't know anymore, really. But how much would you have valued that DLC at? I'd love to know in the comments. But anyway, let's get back onto the dev diary. There's more. There is more. There is not just the mission tree. So, Arheo here, and he's promised us some info on the retaking of the holdings mechanic. I believe he means rework, but whatever. So, holdings. With the advent of Archimedes, I took the opportunity to enhance the holding system a little. Due to the sheer amount of territories, subdividing each territory n times by creating multiple holdings therein was difficult to display, as well as making them matter to a player. Now there will only be 1 holding per territory. This holding, rather than being a physical structure, represents the controlling stake in the industry of a territory. This also gives us the opportunity to represent the holding owner with a portrait, giving the mechanic a little bit more character. I like that. That's good. So we've got a holding for Spartakid. I think the Spartakids are in Bosporan Kingdom, if I'm not wrong. I might be wrong. It's Troesos. I'm very curious now. Where's Troesos? Troesos. It's in the Seleucid Empire. Okay. I'm fairly sure the Spartakids are here. Yeah, there you go. Spartakids. I was right. I was also wrong, but I was also right. So I'm going to claim correctness. Holdings will still grant the owner power base and income, with the income relative to the output of the territory in which the holding is present. Holdings will predominantly be purchased and owned by the heads of family, and they'll continue to squabble and scheme over them, with even more ferocity than before. Holdings can in fact only be granted to heads of family, although in some cases they can end up being owned by other characters. We've also abolished a holding limit. The only thing stopping characters from owning more holdings is wealth. Holdings now have their own map mode, so you can easily see the distribution of power in your nation as well as foreign nations. Interesting that you'll be able to see it in foreign nations. Very interesting indeed. Overall, this leads to some interesting power dynamics that occur with the death of heads of family, as all holdings immediately transfer to the next in line, putting an awful lot of power suddenly in the hands of potentially disloyal characters. In addition, the rise and fall of families can lead to some interesting holding-related power mechanics, as fallen families will eventually shed holdings as the ex-head of family passes away. Nota bene, characters who join a civil war will try to bring along territories in which they have a controlling stake. This can lead to some fun situations. That's all for the Dev Diary. See you next week for more. And there is some more if we look at the dev responses. I believe there is at least one comment more. Yes. I'm still missing the point of why I'd want to give people holdings. I thought it was a positive thing to keep the power base and wealth of the families low, since it would mean more power to the state. Can someone explain to me how I'm supposed to use the holdings mechanic? So granting holdings is not something you'll be doing on a regular basis anymore. It also wasn't something I was doing on a regular basis before either. While you can still do it, there'll be a cost which over time will render it difficult to justify. You're more likely to be managing the fallout between powerful holding owners. So let's talk about this just a bit. Holdings. There's a part of this that I really, really like, and that is no longer having to micro my holdings. That's great. But there is something I'm not entirely cool with, and that is it only going to the heads of the families. That's a bit iffy. Like, I could understand it if it went to the family, but saying it's directly to the head of the family is I'm not sure. Like, having this family owns these holdings, I like. This head of family owns all of these holdings is less cool in my opinion. But otherwise, I do quite like the way this is looking. Right now in the game, holdings are awful to deal with. If I just load my Greater Iberia run, which I completed today, I generally just don't fuck with holdings. I don't care enough about them. The micro on them is so obnoxious. It is not worth it. The only time I ever fuck with holdings is, oh, this guy here, he's disloyal. I can't give him a holding. That's a bad example. This guy here, I also can't give him a holding. But anyway, whatever. If I found a character that was disloyal, say her loyalty was really low, I grant a holding. Let's grant a holding. And I don't care which one. I never look at the name, don't look at how many pops are in it. I just do not fucking care. I just find one, there you go, click button. Now she's got 20 loyalty. That's all I really used it for. It wasn't a very interesting mechanic. If we find someone else who can have a holding, maybe my own character. Nope, how about my son? His brother? There we go. I mean, look at the amount of holdings that I've got. It's obnoxious. It is not fun to deal with this. And yeah, there is a real benefit to having holdings. There is, I believe, a... Say if I gave a holding to my general, and he was out on campaign and he took some slaves in a far-off land, those slaves are most likely going to end up in his holding, or it's got higher chance, I believe. So that's one benefit. Also, I believe there's a monetary benefit. Let's see. So road is here. Road, I believe it's a commerce. There we go. Yeah, number of holdings plus 0. So if you give a holding to a dude in road, grant holding in road, we go back to road. Maybe we need to go a month. Yeah, there we go. Then you get a little bit of extra, commerce income. Like, it is valuable. The amount of holdings I had there, like, it was scrolling down for a long ass time. The amount of holdings I had there, if I gave enough of a shit to give all of these holdings away, that's not an insignificant amount of money. But the amount of micro, first to find the characters to give the holdings to, and then to, oh, I found one, okay, you can have 2 holdings, there you go, there's 1, there's 2, okay, now I need to find another character, not you, not you, not you, there we go, found another character, you can have 2 as well, there you go, there's 2. That is not fun, that's not fun. So this system here of, the system being taking away the control from the player, in this situation, that's a really good thing. I'm quite in favor of that. But yeah, no, I like it. I like it. I think that is a good idea. What I would like to see is maybe holdings do start going to every individual person, including, the subordinates of the family. And this is a bit wish listy, but what if characters had a second loyalty, and that is loyalty to the family? I don't know how historic this is, but I think it could model some fairly decent gameplay. So say each character had a loyalty to the state, and that's the loyalty we've seen already in the game. And it also had a loyalty to the head of the family. If that head of the family decided to go rogue and start a civil war, it would check every single member of that family, and if the loyalty they had with the head of the family was higher than the loyalty they had with the state, they would join the head of the family in that civil war. However, if the loyalty to the state was higher, then they would obviously join the state in the civil war. I think that would be really cool. I'd really like to see something like that. Make civil wars a bit more interesting. Family dynamics being something that really could, be boosted quite significantly. More engaging. You'd have to, worry about the loyalty of your characters a lot more. I just think that'd be pretty cool. I don't know. But I've rambled plenty. I've rambled far too much, so I would love to know what you guys think of pretty much everything that I've just said in the last, half an hour. Do you like my suggestion? Do you agree with my ideas on the DLC policy? What do you think of this mission tree? Do you think this flag is sexy? Personally, I think it's fairly sexy. Not as sexy as Agathocles. This man is a beaut. It can't be denied. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you want to keep up to date with all Imperator news, updates, dev diaries, all that kind of good shit, then subscribe button, and I'm pretty sure there's a bell there as well. Ding it or whatever. Just do the thing. Like button's cool too. This YouTuber end shit is just weird, but do all of the things. You know the things. You watch YouTube. I'll see you in the next one, where hopefully I won't be as rambly. In my defense, I'm running on about 2 hours sleep. So, yay. Insomnia sucks. Thanks all for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.